SeedNL, things are happening with SeedNL. I can imagine from all of this activity, there's a lot of knowledge being unearthed and saved and shared. Tell us a little bit about how you approach that. Take us there.
We are pretty good at it, which is why we call it the Dutch Diamond. I'm not sure if we deserve that title, but what it essentially means is that we look towards the perspectives of multi-stakeholder people from four corners. Several of these projects have resulted in or contributed to wider projects that tackle regulatory environment. One example is the Tanzania horticulture and seed potato platform.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna hold there.
Wat is die gezellig?
Welcome to the Beehive, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Fonseca Rendeiro, and this is the podcast that looks at the world of the Netherlands Food Partnership. And today we're focused on the project known as SeedNL, and we're speaking with Ninja Lacey. Hi, Ninja.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
So nice to get to sit with you and talk about this project that has a really important and unique place, I think, within NFP and I think in many parts of the world as well. So let's start with the basics. When you explain, especially at the, you go to your cocktail parties and your social events, how do you explain SeedNL?
Yeah, so SeedNL is a public-private partnership consisting of the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Dutch Ministry of Agriculture, the Dutch Potato Organisation, and the Dutch Seed Association. And together with these multi-stakeholder partners, we work towards integrated seed sector development in low and middle income countries. Yeah. So we use Dutch knowledge and know-how, and we work with in-country stakeholders on implementing strategies for this integrated seed sector development within their national context.
Yeah. I was thinking initially like the why then, why? Because the coalition that's involved is great. But then there's that question of, so why SeedNL? But as you spoke, I also started to feel a bit as to the why, that element of expertise, knowledge that comes together with these various parties.
So our end goal, as with Netherlands Food Partnership, of course, is SDG2. It's zero hunger. And we feel that seed sector development is an integral part of that and seed systems in general. Yeah. So what we do is that, especially in developing these seed systems and integrated seed sector development, we aim that farmers have access to quality seed of varieties of their choice. That's the end goal.
Yeah. So to bring this forward a bit and look closer at SeedNL, let's talk about some of the flagship projects. I'm thinking here specifically of Ethiopia, Nigeria, where those projects take place. Talk about it a little bit. What do they consist of?
Yeah. In these countries, we initiate multi-stakeholder partnerships between Dutch and national in-country stakeholders to establish strategies for integrated seed sector development within the country. And in Nigeria, this has, for example, resulted in over 10,000 farmers that have been trained, wow. But also in works to introduce new varieties to the country and to address legislative issues. Our collaborative work has resulted, for example, in the cheaper and faster processes to release varieties there.
Okay. And considering, it's 2025, tell me a little bit about the new projects that you endeavor to do this year. I'm thinking here, India and Bangladesh are two countries where something new is going on.
Yeah, both are still in development, of course, but in India, we have recently launched the Indian-Netherlands Seed Secretariat, which we're very proud of. And in Bangladesh, we are fostering new collaborations, for example, on opportunities for investment in areas that have been co-prioritized by both Netherlands and Bangladeshi stakeholders within the seed sector there.
Yeah. And of course, if I'm talking about new projects, I also think a little bit about the process of getting to a new project. I think one thing you guys do is scoping. Let's talk a bit about that scoping process and maybe a recent example from one case.
So we do scoping missions or seed sector assessments with in-country, with experts, both in-country and Dutch experts.
Yeah.
And what we try to do is we try to pinpoint the challenges and opportunities for integrated seed sector development within the country itself. And this, of course, is the root of the interventions that we do within our partnerships on the ground. The findings of these assessments or scopings feed into the interventions that we do together with the partners in country.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's to some extent speaks to your approach, which is sort of, you have a set approach, it looks like, from where I sit. But on the other hand, what you ultimately do depends on what you find out. I'm putting it in really plain language, but
definitely. And it's different in any country we work in, different in any context we work in. And of course, working in an integrated way means that you also not only look at the formal sector, but also at the informal sector. So any interventions that are done, but even the scoping missions that we do depend entirely on the people, the place, and the context and the environments in which activities take place.
Yeah. I can imagine from all of this activity, there's a lot of knowledge being unearthed and saved and shared. Tell us a little bit about how you approach that sharing of knowledge. And I know there's something called the Knowledge Hub, but take us there.
Yeah, so an important part of SeedNL is our learning agenda.
Yeah.
And our Knowledge Hub supports the partnerships that we initiate, and it also provides insight into Dutch, both public and private investment in seed sector development programs globally. For example, we conducted a study into the characteristics of seed sector partnerships in Uganda, Mali, Nigeria, and Ethiopia, just to learn from what happened in these partnerships, what went well, what went better, and what lessons can we draw to make other current and future partnerships more effective. Another thing we do, though, with the Knowledge Hub is to look at the topics that are important to both Dutch and global seed sector stakeholders to facilitate more and deeper dialogue on these topics. So, for example, we produced the podcast on farmers' breeders' rights and the dilemmas around that topic. But also a recent product that we developed is guiding principles around public-private collaboration to conserve and sustainably use plant genetic diversity, so agrobiodiversity, which is a hugely important topic currently.
Wow. In an effort to bring people a little bit more into what SeedNL does, let's look at some of the flagship projects. I'm thinking here of specifically in Ethiopia and Nigeria. What's going on there?
Yeah, so in both countries, we initiated multi-stakeholder partnerships with Dutch and in-country stakeholders to establish country-led strategies for integrated seed sector development. In Nigeria, this resulted in, for example, cheaper and faster seed variety release processes. And in Ethiopia, over 10,000 farmers have now been trained, as well as work that's being done to introduce new varieties to the country and to address legislative issues there.
No small feat. Yeah. Okay, so having talked about the flagship projects and some of the newer projects and this idea of the knowledge hub that people can access for more information and a lot of what you've described today, I remember the Seed Laws Toolbox when it first came out, but I thought maybe that's something that people would also want to know more about. So let's get into it. The Seed Laws Toolbox.
Yeah. Definitely. So with our Seed Laws Toolbox, we fund initiatives that work on the regulatory environment of seed sectors in country. So we funded around 7 projects in Uganda, in Benin, pretty much all over the globe, that work on these regulatory issues. Yeah. And several of these projects have resulted in or contributed to wider projects that tackle regulatory environment One example is the Tanzania horticulture and seed potato platform.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Willem Schouwstra. I'm the director of SeedNL. SeedNL strongly believes in the principles of integrated seed sector development and to see how we can strengthen seed sectors in low and middle income countries by not only looking to the formal sector but also to the intermediate sector and the informal sector. The last 2.5 years I had the privilege to lead SeedNL and to work on integrated seed sector development by putting the farmer up front and to see how we can help farmers by getting better access to quality seeds. By only looking to the system as a whole, I think we can create change. Create change by promoting entrepreneurship, by looking to a better business climate, but also to look to the farmer and to see how farmer community-based systems can be further improved. So all those items together should be creating a wave of change in the favor of the seed sector.
Seeds are the key for agricultural growth and productivity. And so knowing that there's many farmers, being it smallholder farmers or entrepreneurial farmers, all of them need good quality seeds. And so to supporting agricultural growth in collaboration with public-private partnerships in the countries where we work, I think that's a very good way forward.
So one of my favorite aspects of working at NFP is the team members, of course. I say of course, because everyone brings their own experience, but also just personality. And so in your case, Ninja, SeedNL, obviously you know all about it, but how did you come to work for SeedNL and sort of, who were you before that led you here?
Yeah, it's quite a funny story, actually. I have zero background in the seed sector. I have a bit of a generic background around international development. So when I started working at Netherlands Food Partnership, my team lead said, hey, why don't you work half of your time for SeedNL? And I thought, okay, yeah, sure. No idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And a very specific subject and no idea. And now, after the last 2 years, I found myself becoming a real seed nerd and getting to know the people in the sector and who are absolutely lovely and getting to know the intricacies of the sector itself.
Yeah.
And all the niche subjects that come with the topic. So it's been a really enjoyable learning trajectory, and I found a bit of a passion in myself for seeds, which I never expected to develop.
You've kind of been in school here through this process, I imagine. You're just getting like a deep education in seeds.
Yeah, I'm getting a deep dive into a very niche subject, and I'm loving it.
Yeah. It's interesting, yeah, because I also imagine the people that you come into contact, with a SeedNL event, for example, a lot of people are bringing, a more technical or scientific background? And
yeah.
That's also part of it.
And it's wonderful because half of the time I don't know what they're talking about because it's so technical. But more and more you start to learn about the more technical aspect and you start to bring it into your own knowledge and your own practice. Yeah. So it's been, it's a journey.
Yeah. And it's also part of it. So your background may be different, but you're very much part of you called it a family before, and you're part of the mission.
Yeah. And I don't need to be the expert on the technical part because we have members of our family who are the experts. Yeah. And my role is to bring people together so that we can all learn from their experience.
That's a beautiful thing. So Ninja, one of the things that I think you can help explain and I think is relevant for a lot of people that are learning about the kinds of projects that the Netherlands Food Partnership does and that our partners are also very busy with, there's this element of the stakeholders, right? And these are terms that we always use within organizations and companies as well. And then the diamond. Now, in previous iterations, it was called the Dutch diamond because of some unique element that was perhaps Dutch. But I think also this idea of a diamond could apply elsewhere in the world. But let's explain, what is this thing about the diamond and how that even relates to what SeedNL does? You can even just give us a map, like who's in this thing and why is it a diamond? But yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's uniquely Dutch, but we are pretty good at it, which is why we call it the Dutch diamond. I'm not sure if that's if we deserve that title, but what it essentially means is that we look towards the perspectives of multi-stakeholder people from four corners, which can be representatives from knowledge institutes, from civil society, from government, as well as from the private sector. And I think a lot of power lies in this collaboration between those four corners of the diamond, and having all these different perspectives and really getting into the diversity of that and digging into the reasons why the perspectives are different, and then to find a way to collaborate together, move forward together, is where a lot of strengths in our partnerships lie. That goes for SeedNL and for Netherlands Food Partnership both.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me also of you mentioned the podcast series some time ago about plant breeders' rights and seeds. And there again was this aspect of having the different parts of the diamond in many ways, how they feel about this issue on seeds and seed ownership and rights, but then sitting at a table together and figuring out how can we move forward. And that's, I think that's one of the most interesting and valuable aspects of this work, really.
Yeah, definitely. And you find out that perspectives may not actually be as far apart as you initially thought they were, and you start to understand why people think differently. And I think the solution is usually a lot closer than we tend to think it is before sitting around the table with each other.
On the subject of sitting around the table, there is also this activity within the world of SeedNL, which is the actual SeedNL event, an in-person, dare we say it, activity. Let's talk about a little bit the thinking and what's it for, this SeedNL event.
It's about us as SeedNL is not me, it's not Willem, it's not the SeedNL Secretariat, it's everyone working on integrated seed sector development, working to use Dutch knowledge and know-how to improve seed sectors abroad and to ensure that farmers have this access to improved seed of varieties of their choice. So anyone who attends our event is also SeedNL. And that also ties in with the Dutch diamond. You are SeedNL if you're from the private sector, you're SeedNL if you're from the public sector. Yeah. We work together on this, and I can't do it alone. So our whole family, the SeedNL family, as we like to call it, will be there present at the event so that we can strengthen the relationships between the family and to look at new opportunities to work together.
And what's going to be going on? Networking always, I suppose, but anything else?
Yes, so there'll be keynote speakers, of course. There'll be breakout sessions on some of the really important topics in seed sector development. We'll be tackling agrobiodiversity, for example. But we'll also be having a panel session.
So it's a broad range of activities.
Exactly.
And always that element of both learning and connecting. And that's the two that stick out for me anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely what we want to achieve after that day.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I think also for those that are tuning in that might be interested in more information, where do you recommend or what do you recommend they check out to follow the activities of SeedNL?
So definitely follow us on LinkedIn. Take a look at our website. As I said, there's a huge amount of knowledge products on there. You can also look at some of our flagship programs. Yeah. And definitely keep following Netherlands Food Partnership and the newsletter.
Great. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Welcome to the Beehive. I've been your host, Mark Fonseca Rendeiro, with Ninja Lacey, and we'll see you next time for another look into the world of the Netherlands Food Partnership, learning about projects and initiatives and all that comes with it. By all means, subscribe to this podcast in any podcast platform. You can do it in either video or audio, and we'll see you next time.